Hello, everybody. This is Mr. C. This is, I was already going to say Maranatha Baptist University, but this is not for Maranatha Baptist University. This is for Beth Eden Baptist School. So we are here on the week of the 27th of November. Unfortunately, I'm not able to join you 8th graders today because I am at the shoebox place, packing shoe boxes for kids that you guys packed before we went on Christmas break. But I was already gone because my flight left at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Actually, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So while you guys were packing boxes, I was on my way to Los Angeles. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I didn't get to cook this year, so I am without any leftovers, which I wish I had some leftovers because I could make my Thanksgiving egg rolls. You know, you get your leftover turkey, some mashed potatoes, some stuffing, your green beans, you wrap it inside of an egg roll wrapper, and then you deep fry it, and you dip it into some cranberry sauce, which you think sounds weird, but it's really, really, really good. And right now I'm missing it because I didn't get to cook a turkey. We actually just bought one when we were in Hawaii. Actually ordered ahead of time. It's not like you go to Hawaii and say, hey, come here, turkey, let's get cooked. Got a lot of chickens running around, but no turkeys. Turkeys are kind of illegal, except the frozen kind in Hawaii. Anyway, there's a lot of things that we don't have in Hawaii. Turkeys, well, we have turkeys, but they don't run wild like they do here in the mainland. Anyway, um, we're doing some algebra, and you are on my YouTube channel, which some of you guys think is pretty cool. If you're not in pre-algebra and you're watching this on my YouTube channel, sorry to let you guys down, but we're not doing anything crazy like hyperbolas or what are we doing in Calc 2? We're doing parametric equations, tangent slopes to parametric equations. We just finished Maclaurin and Taylor series, which that was kind of fun. You're not in Calc 1, which we're doing increasing and decreasing concavity. I don't know what we're doing in pre-calculus. They're here at the Christmas tree place, or Christmas child place too, so I don't remember. Anyway, this is pre-algebra. So we're doing some problems. I got 9 of them to do. So the first one, x plus 4/9 is equal to 1/3. Now the difference with these problems today is we have an equal sign. So if they don't have equal signs, they're called expressions. If we do have equal signs, we call them equations. Now, the thing about equations, we got to keep everybody on one side of the equation, all the variables on one side, and everybody else on the other. And when you have your variable, the coefficient in front has to be a positive 1. So right now, we're looking at my variable. There's nothing in front of it, so we're going to imagine it's 1x. So if there's no number, it's going to be 1x. Plus 4/9 is equal to 1/3. Now, last time I had you guys mark the terms that like each other. They're the same variable, same power. And right now, you got 1x here, and then everybody else likes each other. Okay, so you have 4/9 and the 1/3. That means we got to bring it to the other side of the equation, but you can't just like pick it up like you do your little puppy dog. You subtract it on one side of the equation, you do it on the other side, which we have a term for that in Mr. C's class. We call that the licky dog principle, which, yes, my mom's white dog came and licked me on the nose, and you can imagine what happened after that. Anyway, got pretty ugly. Anyway, you got 1x is equal to 1/3 now. You have the 4/9 minus the 4/9. They will cancel like a flight to Chicago, which I'm glad I wasn't going to Chicago this week. And then you have that 4/9 that shows up there. Now, you got the fractions. You got 2 choices in life. You guys can just solve it, or you can just punch it in your calculator, which I really don't care. But since I don't have my calculator in front of me, actually I do. Just don't want to turn it on. We got to get a common denominator since we're adding or subtracting fractions. So common denominator between 3 and 9 is going to be a 9. We're going to multiply top and bottom by 3 on the left fraction. So we have 3/9 minus 4/9, and that will equal 1x. So since you have a common denominator now, you can just go ahead and do the multiplication, or subtraction. 3/9 minus 4/9 gives me negative 1/9 because the signs are different. You're going to subtract them. 4 minus 3, keep the sign a little larger, which is negative 1/9. Okay, so that's number 1. Hold on tight. I'm going to move the camera. Again, we have 9 problems to do. This is number 2. 5, 6x is equal to 7. So you're looking at this, and you're thinking, well, I got the x on this side, and I got 7 on the other side. Okay? Now, we can't combine them, but we do have a little problem. It says 5, 6. We want to get rid of that 5, 6 to make it 1. Now, one way to do it, you think to yourself, well, self, what's happening to my x? My x is being multiplied by 5, 6. So you think to yourself, well, what's the opposite of multiplying by 5, 6? Well, we can divide by 5, 6. So what you do on one side of the equation, you're going to do to the other. Okay, so you have 5, 6 over 5, 6. When you divide by a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is flipping, just like a pancake, which my mom made me pancakes this last week. It was this blueberry acai bowl type thing, which was really good. Anyway, had some syrup. I know, it's right before lunch, and I'm probably making you hungry. Which when I was back in Hawaii, I had all this local food, and they had this thing called a malasada, which is like a sugary donut thing. And I was driving around the island. I got to this malasada place at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I got it, and it was warm, and it was really good. And I'm making you hungry, so I'll stop right here. So anyway, 5 times 6, 6 times 5, these guys cancel. X is equal to, when you multiply fractions, 7 times 6 makes it 42 over 5, which is an improper fraction. 5 goes into 42, 8 times 8 and 2/5, which, by the way, you're going to leave it as a fraction. I'm not looking at anyone in particular who likes decimals, but you're not going to put decimals. Anyway, I can't look at you in particular because I can't see you. I'm doing this recording. So I'm not that creepy that I'm like watching you through the TV. And we don't have that kind of capability with this TV. So anyway, you're watching off my YouTube channel, so you guys chill out, okay? So you can leave it as a fraction. I prefer the improper fraction. If you want to leave it as a mixed number, that's totally fine. So let's go to problem number 3. Slide down here. Number 3. X minus 2.45 is equal to 8.1. Now, we got the x here. You got this negative 2.45 and this 8.1 that belong together. Now, since they're on opposite sides of the equations, we're going to undo it. So you think to yourself, well, x, what's happening to you? It's being subtracted by 2.45. What's the opposite of subtracting 2.45? Remember, when we're solving equations, we're doing SOD MEP. Super awesome dads mostly eat pizza. Or super awesome dads mostly eat Pop-Tarts. Doesn't matter to me. X minus 2.45 is equal to 8.1. So we're going to do the addition or subtracting first, which in this case we're subtracting 2.45 or adding a negative 2.45. It's the same smell. Okay. So again, subtracting 2.45 is the same as adding a negative 2.45. Either case, I'm going to add 2.45. So then on the left side, these guys cancel like a flight to Chicago. On this side, we're going to take 2.45 and add it, because what you do on one side of the equation, you do to the other. It's just like when your puppy gives you a lick on the nose. You reciprocate. Anyway, x is equal to 8 plus 2 is 10. Put the decimal. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 0 is 5. 10.55 is the final answer. And that's okay because we started off with a decimal. If you start off with a fraction, I don't want to see a decimal. If I see a decimal, I don't want to see a fraction. Okay, so let's take a look at number 4. Number 4, hold on, it's coming up right there. Number 4, we got 9 problems. 0.15x, and that's a decimal, so 0.15x is equal to 52.5. So you think to yourself, well, x, what's happening to you? Well, I'm being multiplied by 0.15, if the little x could talk to you. Which, if the x is talking to you, either you got the math dream or you ate a little bit too much turkey last week. Anyway, if it's being multiplied by 0.15, I'm going to divide by 0.15. What you do on one side, you do to the other. And this puppy, I would just go ahead and punch it into the calculator because decimals are hard. Okay, so turn on the calculator. Rad. It's not like me surfing, okay? That's for degree measures. 52.5 divided by 0.15, and boom, the final answer is 350. So, good. All right, let's go to the next problem. Again, we got 9 of these to go. Let's go ahead and flip the page. There we go, flipped it pretty easily. You got 3y plus 5/8 is equal to 1 3/4. Now, this guy's got the variable, no variable, no variable. So those guys have to combine, but they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. Okay? So if they're on the same side of the equal sign, you combine them by whatever operation you have. So if they're plus, you add them. If you subtract them. If they're multiplied, you multiply them. If you see a division, you divide them. But you have to follow the order of operations according to PEMDAS. People eat more donuts people eat more donuts at Dunkin'. I'm trying to think. What would we say in Hawaii? People eat more. What starts with a D? I don't remember. Donuts. Is there anything cool? I don't know. Anyway, 3y plus 5/8 is equal to 1 3/4. So we got to combine the 5/8 and the 1 3/4. So to take it to the other side of the equation, I'm going to subtract 5/8. What I do on one side, I'm going to do to the other, so that these guys cancel. We got 3y is equal to, I'm going to change this to an improper fraction. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 3 makes it 7/4, minus 5/8. So we got a little dilemma in life, which is not really a dilemma in life. Only if you don't have a calculator, then it might be a dilemma in life, but we're smarter than that. When we add or subtract fractions, we need to have a, say it with me, common denominator. Say it a little louder because nobody heard you. Common denominator. I can't hear you. Well, you're on the other side of the video, so I can't hear you anyway. So that doesn't make any sense. So we're going to multiply top and bottom by 2. You got 3y. 7 times 2 is 14. 4 times 2 is 8, minus 5/8. Now we can handle this puppy. You got 3y is equal to 14 minus 5 makes it 9/8. Okay, so you look at your y and say, hey, y, I got a 3 in front of me. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 3? Well, we're going to divide by 3. What you do on one side, you do to the other. It's like having a 3/1, because 3 can be expressed as a rational. So these guys will cancel, because 3 multiplied by 1/3 will give you a 1. Over here, you can do the same thing. 9/8 multiplied by 1/3 gives you 9/24. And if you have one of those fancy calculators, they will reduce it. 9/24, 3 can go into top and bottom, the numerator and denominator, 3 times in the numerator, 8 times in the denominator. You do not have to reduce fractions unless it says to do it in lowest terms. But I don't want to see a decimal. I'm not looking at anyone in particular. So guys like JJ should not put it in decimals. Or anybody like Madison, don't put it in decimals. I'm not getting angry. I'm just don't like decimals. Okay, so let's see. Who else puts things in decimals? Grace. You put stuff in decimals? Anyway, I can't hear you. So if you answered, that's cool. But don't put it in decimals, okay? All right, let's go to number 6. Number 6, you got 2/3 x is equal to 5/7. For this puppy, you're thinking to yourself, well, everybody is on either side of the equation. You got x over here and all the other guys over there. So what you're going to do, you think to yourself, well, self, what's happening to my x? It's being multiplied by 2/3. What's the opposite of multiplying by 2/3? Well, I'm going to divide by 2/3. And remember, what you do on one side of the equation, you've got to do it to the other side of the equation. That's what we call the licky dog principle. Anyway, this is one of the biggest rules in algebra. If you got the licky dog principle licked, then you've got most of algebra licked. Anyway, that was kind of weird. 2/3 multiplied by 3/2 x is equal to 5/7. When you divide by fractions, you're going to multiply by its reciprocal. We're going to flip it just like a pancake, like those coconut pancakes that my mom made. which if you put syrup, it's like really good, and put some butter, it just melts in your mouth, which I'm making you hungry, so I'll stop right now. 5 times 3 makes it 15. 7 times 2 is 14. Again, I like the improper fraction. I don't like decimals. Okay? You got it, Jay? I know you're looking at this if you're there. But if you're not looking at this, then maybe you're not there. Or if you're looking at this but didn't hear me, then I guess maybe you should wake up. I don't know. 14 goes into 15 one time with one remainder, 1 over 14. So you can leave it as an improper. You can leave it as a mixed number, but don't put decimals if we didn't start with decimals. Anyway, let's go to number 7. Number 7, 2x minus 1/4 is equal to 5/6. So again, you got your x on one side. That's cool. This guy, the 1/4 and the 5/6, they need to be combined. Now, they're on opposite sides of the equation, so what you need to do is to undo it. Think to your x, hey x, what's happening to you? Well, I'm being multiplied by 2, that's what's happening there, and I'm being subtracted by 1/4. But remember, with equations, you've got to use SODMAP. SODMAP. Super awesome dads mostly eat Pop-Tarts. Okay, so you add 1/4 on one side, you add 1/4 on the other. That is the licky dog principle. 2x is equal to 5/6 plus 1/4. These guys will cancel like a flight to Chicago, which I'm glad I did not go to Chicago. I went through Los Angeles on the way to Honolulu, and I came through San Francisco on the way back, which I don't like going through San Francisco. Not because I don't like the Giants, because I don't like the Giants, but I don't like going to San Francisco because most of the time it's always foggy, and planes don't land nicely in fog. But the plane on Friday landed really nice because it wasn't foggy. Plus, it was a 777, so it was a big airplane. And anyway, I didn't know we landed. I was sitting in the middle section. I was sitting, got those aisles, 2, aisle 4, aisle 2. And we're in the back of the plane. In the middle of the plane, it's 3, aisle 5, aisle 3. Anyway, I'm sitting in the middle of the whole airplane. I mean, in the back, but like in the middle aisle, which is no fun. But we had the crazy kids. So anyway, 2x is equal to 5/6 plus 1/4. Now we got to combine everybody here on the right-hand side. Oh, fraction, we need to have a common denominator. No fear, common denominator doesn't have to be a least common multiple. It can be any common multiple. But I'm going to pick, just for fun, I'm going to pick 12. 6 times 2 will give you 12. 4 times 3 will give you 12. You can't see that, so let me move the camera over. All right, hold on still. There we go. So we got 2x. When you multiply fractions, it goes straight across. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. On this side, 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Now you can add your fractions. 10/12 plus, let me move this up. All right, there we go. 10/12 plus 3/12 gives you 13/12. And notice what I'm doing here on the left-hand side. I'm copying everything. So that's what I like to do. If I like to do that, then I would like you to do that. So a little hint in life, you probably should do that because I want you to do that. Now you might be asking yourself, well, Self, what happens if Mr. C really wants us to do it and I really don't feel like doing it? Well, Mr. C might not give you full credit, okay? So let's make life easy and just do as I tell you, okay? Don't put decimals. Okay, I'm not looking at anyone in particular, but don't put decimals. I know you were thinking about it, but don't put decimals right there. Anyway, 2x is equal to 13/12. We're going to divide by 2, which is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. 13/12 multiplied by 1/2 gives you 13/24. So you could probably reduce that if you want, but that's all you can do. And don't change it into a decimal. All right, anyway. Let's come to the number 8. Number 8, negative 5x plus 6.5 is equal to 24.75. You got an x here. That can't combine with anybody else because there's no other x's. There's 6.5 and there's 24.75. They can combine. It's like making those, they have these fruit bowls in Hawaii. They call it the acai bowls. So they get like blueberries, strawberries, and like, I don't know, because I never ordered it, because that seems weird to me. I mean, if you like pay somebody like $5 for a fruit bowl, why don't you go in your backyard and grab a papaya, a banana, and some fruit and do it yourself instead of pay somebody else to do it? I mean, Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we're talking about food again. We need to stop talking about food because we're right in front of lunch and we're all hungry. And the more I talk about food, it just makes you hungrier. And you guys can't focus. Anyway, we'll stop talking about food. But I'm hungry. Anyway, we're going to subtract 6.5 on one side. We're going to subtract 6.5 on the other. Reminds me of this class. A couple years ago, I knew a bunch of sixth graders that we had like sixth grade math, like right before lunch, and they used to always talk about food, like Panda Express, Pizza Hut. That's what I had in Hawaii, by the way. Panda Express, Pizza Hut. What else did I have? I had some Chinese food, and we had turkey and sushi with the turkey. Yeah, it was so good. 6.5, they cancel with that 6.5. Over here on the other side, 24.75 minus 6.5 gives you 18.25. So to finish this puppy off, negative 5x is equal to 18.25. You think to yourself, what's happening to my x? Well, it's being multiplied by negative 5. What we do on one side, we do to the other. Watch your signs, Reagan. Negative, negative makes it positive. Positive, negative makes it negative. Okay, you got it, Reagan? 18.25 divided by negative 5 gives you, let me see, 18.25 divided by negative 5, negative 3.65. And that's it. So go ahead and work on your skill checks. You guys can work on your skill checks. And then you can check the answers. We're going to go take a look at this section. I think it's 6.5 tomorrow. Okay, so work on your next homework section. Hope you guys have a fun time doing your algebra and thinking about food, I guess, because I'm hungry. And you know what sounds good right now? I don't know, but I'm going to go get something to eat, so I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day.